From the home of a pirate-themed football team comes the pirate-themed edition of the biggest event in sports entertainment history. But we'll get to that in 2021. Meanwhile, from a training facility in Orlando, Florida, comes the 36th edition of the biggest spectacle in wrestling, WrestleMania, somehow still pirate-themed. In an event that was deemed too big for one night, which, let's be honest, were every last WrestleMania since the one in 2016, WWE suffers their greatest nightmare come true. No freaking audience.
Stunner!
Man, this had to feel awkward for everyone who's used to hyping up the crowd to get a pop. They're staring at a wall, just so you know. But even despite the two-night theme and the lack of an audience, WrestleMania did their best to keep the fans at home entertained, and for the most part, they actually did it. Featuring many feel-good moments, many random moments, and too much Rob Gronkowski. But the biggest highlight of the entire show were the two matches that actually did not take place at the Performance Center. Billing at the top of the card is Brock Lesnar, a man who's been WWE Champion in the most forgettable ways possible, and Drew McIntyre, the guy who, just like Jinder Mahal, started off promising, joined a ridiculous boy band, got fired, got buff, came back, and then ultimately achieved his dream of becoming WWE Champion. So don't be surprised if we see an extremely buff Heath Slater come back in a few years. And in the other top world title match is Goldberg, a man who just can't seem to understand that no one cares about him being a hero, and Braun Strowman, who couldn't even come up with a storyline reason for challenging Goldberg. I know that Roman Reigns backed out, but this is just lazy. Together, these four guys put on some of the worst world title matches in WrestleMania history. One of them because the champion can't handle 4 minutes or more, and the other champion just wanted to get the f*** out of the company. But let's move on to the rest of the card. First, WWE presents WrestleMania Night 1, which featured the match with the titles that get more irrelevant with each passing year, a match that existed because they parodied The Lion King, a match which result ended up being a waste of time because the champion got pregnant. Really should have given it to Shayna regardless of the pregnancy, to be honest. The match that redeemed Sami Zayn as a legitimate competitor. The triple threat ladder match, which honestly looked better compared to if both members of each team were present. The match with the freaking awesome moments. The one that ended before we could even finish the set, and the infamous Boneyard match, which is just a PG version of saying Buried Alive, which makes no sense because we had a Buried Alive match in the PG era. And WWE presents WrestleMania Night 2, which featured the first ever NXT match at WrestleMania, all just to feed us more Charlotte Flair so more people would tune into NXT, which ended up not working out anyway. The match that existed because fans wanted Aleister Black involved and they didn't have anything for him. The match that existed because they parodied Beauty and the Beast. I'm sensing a weird pattern here. The last man standing match that felt longer than Hillbilly Jim's Hall of Fame speech. And let's just be thankful that COVID didn't strike 3 months earlier, or we definitely would have gotten this. And then the match that didn't really need to exist at WrestleMania aside from wanting every title on the card. Followed by the match that didn't really need to exist at WrestleMania aside from wanting every female to be on the card. And we can't forget about the Firefly Funhouse match, a match that gives a representation of why doing drugs is a bad thing, poke fun at John Cena.
You can look, but you can't touch.
Get it? Because he used to be with Nikki Bella. And give a literal representation of John Cena's catchphrase. And finally, Drew McIntyre's big moment, which looked too easy and simple and suffered from the lack of an audience.
Shoulders and a Claymore! Fives, and now a third Claymore! Drew McIntyre fulfills his destiny!
Doing this again might not be such a smart idea. Starring the only fan in attendance. Why am I not in the main event? Cannibal Corpse. A pregnant man. Michelle McCool, why did you say that name? Gone Cena. I just went home, but then they called me to be champion. Getting too old Berg for this Brock Les, get the out of here. We somehow still don't know how to make this work. She's a Flair, another title. These guys. CrossFit Jesus, and I took that personally. Stone Kevin, Steve Owens. I'm right on the edge, literally. I'm too camera shy to walk to the ring. Paul Heyman drew me naked. And nobody, literally nobody. A Quiet Place. Let's be honest, giving Drew McIntyre another big moment won't have the same impact as it did before. We all know what happens when WWE tries to do something that was wanted the year prior.